So you've probably heard this word thrown around all the time in conversations about crypto and blockchain, right? Node. It sounds super technical, maybe a little intimidating, but trust me, once you get what a node actually is, the whole idea of a decentralized web, it just clicks. So let's dive in and demystify it.
First, let's start with a big question. Think about it. How do you build a system that millions of people can trust with really valuable information without a central company or a government in charge? How do you prevent cheating or mistakes when there's no single boss to check everyone's work? Well, that's the exact puzzle that nodes were created to solve.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's just forget about all the tech stuff for a minute. Let's use an analogy. I want you to picture a library. But, this isn't just any old library. This one has a hugely important job, protecting one single, incredibly important story.
Okay, so in scenario one, you've got just a single librarian, and this one person is responsible for the one and only master copy of the story. Now, what happens if that librarian makes a typo? Or gets sick? Or what if they decide to, change a few words to benefit themselves? The true story could be corrupted or even lost forever. That's a huge risk.
But what if we did it differently? Instead, let's imagine we have 1,000 librarians scattered all across the world, and each one of them has a perfect identical copy of that story. Now, before any new sentence gets added, all 1,000 of them have to check their copy and agree. If one rogue librarian tries to sneak in a change, the other 999 will immediately see the difference and reject it. The story stays safe, protected by the group.
And that, right there, is the core idea. In a decentralized network like a blockchain, every single one of those dedicated, rule-following librarians is a node. They're the individual keepers of the shared truth, all working together to keep the whole network honest.
Okay, so the librarian analogy is perfect for understanding the why. Now, let's get into the what. What exactly is a node in more technical terms?
A node is pretty simply just a computer. It could be a massive server in a data center, or it could even be a dedicated little device in someone's home. What makes it a node is that it's running the network software. By doing that, it becomes an active participant, helping to maintain the entire system by storing a full copy of the network's history and enforcing all of its rules. This image really shows the difference perfectly. On the one hand, you have a traditional, centralized network. Everything runs through one main hub. If that hub fails, the whole system just goes down. But on the other hand, you have the decentralized model, this interconnected web of nodes. There's no single point of failure. It's designed from the ground up to be incredibly resilient. So we know these nodes are all connected and keeping the network alive, but what are they actually doing all day? Well, their work can be broken down into 3 main jobs.
First, they store the history. Every node keeps a full copy of the blockchain's entire transaction history. Second, they validate the present. When a new transaction is proposed, the nodes check it against the rules to make sure it's legit. And third, they communicate with peers. Once a transaction is validated, they broadcast that info to all the other nodes, making sure everyone's copy of the ledger stays perfectly in sync. Now, here's a key thing to remember. One node on its own isn't all that powerful. Just like our one librarian, it's vulnerable. The real magic, the security of the whole system, comes from having thousands of them working together. And take a look at this number. We're not talking about just a few computers here. Major networks like Bitcoin or Ethereum have tens of thousands of active nodes spread all across the globe. This creates a massive, truly global system.
The scale is the network's greatest defense. If you only have a handful of nodes, it might be possible for a bad actor to gain control. But when you have tens of thousands, overpowering that network becomes practically impossible and ridiculously expensive. It's a simple equation. More nodes means way more security. So this giant army of nodes provides 3 incredible benefits. First, decentralization. No single person or company is in control. Second, security. The network is protected by its immense scale. And third, censorship resistance. Since there's no central point to shut down, the information on the network can't be easily silenced or blocked by anyone.
All right, we've covered the what and the how, but let's finish up by talking about why any of this matters beyond the tech. Why should you actually care about nodes?
I really love this quote because it gets right to the heart of it.
Nodes represent a fundamental shift in how we think about our digital world. Instead of relying on a few giant companies to manage our data and our online lives, nodes create a system where the users themselves are the guardians of the network. It's all about collective ownership. And that leaves us with this final thought. Nodes aren't just maintaining a ledger of transactions. They are laying the foundation for a more transparent, secure, and user-controlled internet. They are the building blocks for whatever comes next. So the real question for all of us is, what are we going to build on top of them?